Hello guys, this is Lilium, and this video is gonna be me reading the second chapter of the D.N.Angel fanfiction, and the second chapter is called Nightmares, so please enjoy. Daisuke's lithe body twisted and turned as he tangled himself up with the blankets. His arms shot up as if he was trying to protect his body from an invisible force. Shouting and sweat dripped down his face. Daisuke snapped his eyes open. Sitting up with fatigue, Daisuke glanced at the enormous red digital numbers on the clock that sat beside the flowers that Satoshi had brought. A nurse who happened to walk by rushed in, hearing the occupants of the room yell out. "Is there something wrong?" she asked frantically. Those vacant eyes gradually lifted her eye level. Holding back a shiver, she forced a smile. "Just a dream," Daisuke whispered flatly. His thoughts drifted off about how he could have saved his mother and asked himself why he was such a coward. The redhead was brought back to reality as the brown-haired nurse shook his frail form. "Stop beating yourself up, please," the nurse practically begged, included were the pleading eyes that had no effect on Daisuke. A crystalline tear fell down his pale cheek, as he hadn't seen the sun in 2 years. As one drop fell, more followed. "Why did Kazan have to go?" Daisuke mumbled, burying his face into his hands. Sympathetic eyes could have done nothing more than watch the scene unfold before her. Dark stood outside the open door with his mother, staring blankly at Daisuke's sobbing form. The wine-eyed male had been standing there for a few minutes and had heard that last sentence from Daisuke. Dark's mischievous eyes grew soft, realizing that the ruby-eyed teen had probably lost his mother. After all, Dark hadn't seen his mother's best friend, Emiko Niwa, in a long time, which led him to pondering what happened to her. Niwa wasn't a very common last name, hence Dark made connections that Daisuke was obviously Emiko's son. "Ma, what happened to your friend?" The dark-haired female's smile instantly flipped upside down. Dark bit his lip, regretting ever asking. Suddenly her shoes became very interesting. "She died 2 years ago." It wasn't the answer Dark wanted to hear, but he accepted it for now. Peeking from around the corner of the hallway was no one other than Satoshi Hiwatari. Calculating sapphires closely, observed the young man that was presently speaking. "I wonder, what are you doing here, Dark Mousy?" Satoshi asked, to no one in particular. The nurse sitting on the bed next to a slumbering Daisuke abruptly noticed something else's presence. Daisuke was curled up in a venerable position, with his crimson hair softly pooling around his pale face. With a sweet smile, she questioned, "Oh, are you here to visit Daisuke? If you are, I'm sorry, but I don't think he should be disturbed right now." Arigato. And in the silence of Daisuke's gentle breathing, the three left. The sun rays crept through the closed curtains the next morning. Silently, a male marched into the room, but going no further than the door frame. Slowly coming to Daisuke blinked his eyes open. Shifting to a more comfortable posture, he at once atoned his decision. Frozen to the spot, as if he had been tied down by the binding ropes, and with wide eyes he stuttered, Oto-san. As soon as the murmur had left his mouth, a smirk spread across the middle-aged man's face. The latter had deep purple hair and matching eyes, suspiciously appearing a lot like Dark. Why, it has been a while, hasn't it, Daisuke? Hey, Ma, I'm going to see Niwa-kun, okay? Dark called out, already halfway out the front entrance. His mother started fussing about how casual his clothes were and towed the 17-year-old back into the house. It was 10 minutes later that Dark was able to get away from his mother's panicky grasp. Racing down the street, Dark finally arrived at the hospital's entrance. Panting, he ran into the closing elevator. Just about to push the number 2 button, another hand cut him off by pushing it for him. You again? What are you doing here? An emotionless tone came from the blue-haired boy standing beside Dark. Ah, that's none of your beeswax, Dark injected, sticking out his tongue. Satoshi shrugged, carelessly, not really wanting to know. Dark finally came across the occupied room 208. Just about to enter the room, he suddenly heard someone speaking. Why, it's been a while, hasn't it, Daisuke? Standing there was a middle-aged man who appeared to look like Dark, with the exception of his hairstyle and eye color. The latter had a smirk set up on his face, staring at Daisuke the whole time. Dark opened his mouth to say something, but quickly closed it after he heard Daisuke's mellifluous voice. What are you doing here? The red-haired teen asked, trying to shield wary emotions from showing in his voice. If Daisuke was scared, his facade didn't illustrate what he was feeling, nor did his sentence falter. I think it's about time, the dark-haired man began, that you came back home with me. There was such a tense silence that you could cut through it with a plastic spoon. No one spoke, and no one dared to move. No, Daisuke's declaration was firm, clear, louder, and held no room for argument, far from his usual tone. Chuckling, the male restated, "But you see, little one, you don't have a say in this matter." Have you forgotten? The judge clearly asserted that all ties associated to you are hereby disconnected, Daisuke retorted. Besides, I won't go home with the likes of you. You're a cold-blooded murderer.